Thanks, Lauren. Hi, everyone. This is Krista Roberts. Just a quick, I can't see who all is on the call, but just a quick intro of myself. I wear a couple of different hats in the slow food world. I am the director for the Slow Food Denver chapter, and have been doing that, I guess, since about 2009. And was involved with our national office in organizing the Slow Meat events that occurred the last 2 years in Denver. And when Denver was selected as the location for Slow Food Nations, I was given the opportunity to be the event director, which is exciting and terrifying all at the same time. But I am grateful to have the support of all of the national team and an extended team in Denver, as well as an event production team who are part of Danny Wimmer Presents and have a wonderful background of organizing large festivals such as Bonnaroo in Tennessee and Outside Lands in California. So they bring all of that experience, which I do not have. And in addition, the support from our amazing network. And I'm excited to share some updates with all of you and get your thoughts and questions as to where we are with the event right now. So I'm going to start with, if my slides work. Yeah. Just a quick overview of where we are with the event. Some of you may have heard it before, but I want to make sure everyone's kind of on the same page with the information. And then we'll go into a little more detail around the exhibitor process and experience, as well as the delegate registration process, and then talk a little bit about how chapters can be involved, and then wrap up with some what's next and questions and comments. So Slow Food Nations, I imagine a number of you attended Slow Food Nation in San Francisco in 2008, which I also had the opportunity to attend. It was one of my first slow food events ever, and it has left such a strong impression on me. And this gathering in Denver is inspired by that, as well as Terra Madre, of course, and it will provide an opportunity for participants to share our stories, learn the story behind our food, grow our community, and it provides such a great opportunity to engage a broader audience through free and ticketed events that are open to the public. Food, as we know, is the great connector, and it will provide a forum to build bridges with others, with different cultures across geographies, and hopefully we will leave inspired, more aware, and with a deeper understanding of each other, and also our connection to and understanding of slow food. The way the weekend breaks down, the dates, everything sort of kicks off for delegates on the evening of the 13th. For those who are arriving that evening, there will be a delegate welcome reception, which will be a great informal gathering, a welcome to Denver, allow people time to reconnect and get the weekend started. Friday, the 14th, the morning and the afternoon will be dedicated to delegates. It will be a chance to connect, have national and regional meetings, explore topics through breakouts, plenary talks, and discussions. Then Friday evening will be the public launch and the opening party. And then on Saturday and Sunday, the 15th through the 16th, is really when the public gathering takes place. There will be a combination of free and ticketed events. Features will be a welcome center, information kiosk, a flavor bazaar, which is a taste marketplace featuring small producers from all over the country and beyond, an outdoor stage, demonstration garden, Slow Food Mexico and Slow Food Turtle Island will be an important focus to share their food culture and heritage. There will be an Arc of Taste exhibit, and also collections of slow sips featuring spirits, beer, cider, wine, non-alcoholic beverages. We'll work closely with the Denver restaurant community, and there will be a speaker series that will include both ticketed and free talks, and then there will be ticketed tours, workshops, parties, dinners all throughout the weekend. And we have a wonderful local independent bookseller called The Tattered Cover, who is excited to be the preferred bookseller for Slow Food Nations, and they have a downtown location that will host author talks and signings throughout the event. Where this will all take place through Thursday through Sunday will be right in downtown Denver. So guests can experience the city, local businesses and organizations will be integrated, and it's a great opportunity to attract the local community. The two main hubs for the gathering are Denver's Union Station, which you're looking at in this rendering right now, as well as Larimer Square. Both are walkable locations and that are destinations themselves in Denver, and they both have historical significance to the city. Denver Union Station is a recently renovated transportation hub. The light rail goes directly from the airport to Union Station. Amtrak is there, and many bus routes depart and arrive at Union Station. Larimer Square is an attractive city block with restaurants and shops, and it's the site of numerous well-attended festivals and events that happen in Denver. So it's very much a known location for travelers and residents. Give you a sense of the footprint in terms of what it looks like. The block on the right of what you're looking at, if you're seeing this on your computer, where it says Nation Summit and Taste Terminal. And I will say that some of this terminology may evolve a little bit, but that is what it is at the moment. But that's Union Station. So that's Denver Union Station. That's where I mentioned the light rail comes in, and trains, and where there will be the base for the event. That's where the Welcome Center will be, and there'll be a number of other things happening there, like the Arc of Taste exhibit, some other pavilions, and other ticketed taste events. About a half-mile walk is where you see the shape that kind of looks like a cross, called Festival of Flavors. That's Larimer Square. And Larimer Square is, in effect, one city block, but what we will have is also about 2.5 blocks perpendicular to it, blocked off. All that will be blocked off to traffic. And that is where the Flavor Bazaar will be located, which is the marketplace of taste pavilions. There will be, that's where the outdoor stage will be located. The demonstration garden will most likely be there. And people will also be able to purchase food to eat, and that will all create a lot of energy at both of those places. You might notice, I don't know how well you can see the image, but right kind of down the middle, there's a number called 16th. There's a free shuttle that runs down that street, so there'll also be that access to get between the two places. And then surrounding those two main hubs will be where the series of ticketed events will take place for the workshops and the parties and the dinners, and then the tours will be both urban as well as the opportunity to get outside of Denver a little bit on local farms and that sort of thing. All right. I'm going to talk a little bit more now about the exhibitor process and what's happening at the Flavor Bazaar. So the Flavor Bazaar is this free-to-attend taste marketplace, basically for anyone in the streets for anyone, and it's held in the streets of downtown Denver in Larimer Square. I think exhibitors who are interested in being part of this will have a great opportunity to build community through food, share the story behind our food, and also sample their product and sell their product. It's a great way to celebrate food and agricultural traditions, and it will be set up in a way that it's not a typical trade show. It's definitely a consumer-facing audience and a way to build community around these producers. Who's here? Small food producers who value their craftsmanship and authenticity, who align with slow food values, farmers and fishers, representatives featuring traditional foods, food cultures, farming, and also in the mix can be cookware and cutlery companies, clothing and textiles that may align with slow food principles, and then also, of course, nonprofits and other food advocacy organizations and slow food chapters who may want to showcase their local communities. The cost to be an exhibitor is $895 before March 31st, and that includes one complimentary delegate ticket. After March 31st, the cost goes up to $995 plus $100 for a delegate ticket. So there's a lot of incentive there to register early and make a deposit. What that includes is an 8x8 footprint, 24-hour security, electricity line, off-site refrigerated storage, about a 2x2 footprint if needed, an exhibitor profile on the website, and I think those are the highlights for that. The process is open now, and we are really pushing that now and starting to follow up with all of those that we've spoken to in the past before registration was open. This is a great way, which I'll talk about more later, for chapters to engage, to encourage those producers who they work with closely, who really represent slow food values in their regions, to take part. Delegates to Slow Food Nations, as many of us are familiar with, are really those who are ambassadors for slow food and food system leaders. They'll participate in a more in-depth way in the festival and also help shape our national discourse and that we'll enjoy as a community during the event. Throughout the event, delegates will have the opportunity to engage in different ways: hosts, presenters, exhibitors, really whatever makes sense for that individual. To attend, delegate cost is $200 for members and $250 for non-members. What delegates receive there'll be a welcome reception on Thursday evening, welcome bag with gifts, breakfast and lunch on Friday, the Friday meetings and national convenings and workshops with the other delegates, input to the future of slow food, and tickets to 2 select events throughout the weekend, which each individual will be able to choose, discounted hotel packages, and a delegate directory. And registration will open in early February. And the delegates process for Slow Food Nations will be more of a registration process versus an application process, like some of us may be familiar with Terra Madre. However, the explanation of the delegate participation will, I think, clarify, and then the form will ask some minimal important demographic questions and also questions that will be helpful for people to determine, do I want to participate as a delegate in this event, or would I prefer to participate as a day visitor in certain workshops throughout. And so really individuals can self-select based upon their desired level of connection and involvement with Slow Food Nations. And we are working on how we can perhaps address scholarship funding. There's not that potential at the moment, and so it will be limited. But we'll have more information about that, and I think this is another way for chapters to consider how they might want to engage in terms of perhaps creating a local scholarship fund, both for delegates and or exhibitors to participate. Which brings me to chapters and our network. And I first of all want to give a big thank you to all of you who have provided input via the survey, emails, calls that we've had, and continue to do that. There are so many great ideas out there, and my only wish is that we can incorporate every single one of them. As we all know, we have about 6 months until Slow Food Nations is actually here. So our goal for this year is to choose the priorities and do it really well, and then have a lot to build upon for the years to come. So our timeline is that we are collating, reviewing all the ideas this month and continuing to get input from everyone with the goal of confirming or starting to confirm specific programming in February. The announced and initial launch of ticketing is targeted for late February, and ticketing will be phased. So everything will not be put out at once, and which will allow both for us to get a sense of the interest that's out there, but also allow us to continue to build out things as they come in, because we know that the reality is that everything won't be finalized by the end of January. So in terms of ways that and these are some ways that chapters and our network can get involved. We really encourage you to get involved. The first is, I mentioned before, exhibitor recruitment. And we've had a lot of chapters and the network leadership who have already been sharing contacts with me. We've been in touch with them. Our team has been in touch with them, and it's really exciting. So the ask here is, can you encourage food producers who represent slow food values to participate in the Slow Food Nations Flavor Bazaar? It does require a producer of a certain size to be able to sample and sell product to between 10 to 20,000 visitors who will potentially be at the event. And we are excited to be able to work flexibly. There have been some questions about should slow food chapters gather a group of producers who represent their region, and the answer is we have flexibility. The way that works best with the setup is to encourage individual producers to register and have their own space. But I've spoken to a number of different chapters about the interest in creating a regional presence. So there's opportunities for that as well. The other is around the Arc of Taste. Celebration and promotion of the Arc of Taste is also a very important component of Slow Food Nations. We are working to what we'd love to do is work with the chapters around how can they help identify Arc of Taste producers from their region and work with their local Arc of Taste chair to identify those candidates, and how could we collectively gather as a community to support their attendance. Slow Food USA will also have a spring campaign that is focused around the Arc of Taste, and a portion of the fundraising from that will also go to support some scholarship for Arc of Taste farmers and producers.
Krista, can I interrupt you for one quick second?
I get a couple of notes from people. Oh yeah, I was just going to ask. Yes. Muting?
Yes, just a reminder, folks on the phone, I am unable to mute you as the call organizer. You have to mute yourselves. So if you could do that, that would be wonderful, just to reduce background noise, and then we can all hear Krista better. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, everyone. where was I? Arc of Taste. The next area is programming. And there are a lot of different ideas or opportunities here. I'm going to give one example of something concrete that's happening. Slow Food Portland has reached out to Slow Food Denver about this exciting opportunity to co-host a recipe telling event or recipe slam. And so the two chapters will work together where Portland is going to, they've run this type of event in this program. They're going to organize that. They're going to work with us or Denver here locally to organize a venue and recruit participants. And this will be an event listing that will go on the overall event listing for Slow Food Nations and be something that is presented by Slow Food Portland. So that's one idea of how that could potentially work. And then, of course, attending, being an ambassador. Please, if you can be here, register as a delegate. And there's an opportunity for delegates to sign up to be an ambassador during the event. And we'll have a more specific way to do that throughout the registration process. But those are, if you're a delegate and you want to get involved in a more in-depth way as a host or an ambassador for Slow Food, perhaps you volunteer as a shift to be a docent at the Arc of Taste exhibit. Or perhaps you volunteer to take a shift as a... It's okay. I think there might be someone who has some sirens in the background. If you could click mute, that would be most wonderful. Oh, I'll just hold off for a minute. Thanks. And other opportunities can be to sign up to host a shift at the Welcome Center, information kiosk, and you get the idea. I think there'll be a lot of opportunities to engage in that way. And then finally, because we're gonna start to have some great images and graphics and social media messaging coming out. And if you could make sure you're following Slow Food USA, there is an event, a Facebook event for Slow Food Nations. If you can be interested or say you're attending that, you'll continue to get updates through that way. And it'll be great to help have all of our network really rally around and get information out to everyone to create some buzz about the event. Okay. So hopefully that gives everyone more of an update of what's happening. I know there are probably a lot of questions out there about what about the programming? Who are the partners? And so we're going to have another series of calls. And just to put a few on your radar, there's going to be a national call on Tuesday, February 7th, which will be a call with the broader network of Slow Food and provide some more updates around partners and the programming lineup and as things are progressing. We have a call also slated for Wednesday, March 8th, which will really talk more about the delegate experience and some of the specifics around that programming. And then we'll continue to have calls in the spring and early summer that will highlight more of the programming lineup and answer some more specific logistical questions. I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about today. And I'm excited to answer some questions and to continue to talk to all of you as we pull all of this together. I can't thank you enough for all of your support and input.
Thanks, Krista. That was great. So just a reminder, if you have a question, please type it into the chat function, and then I will share your question with Krista. So we had a question come in from Scott Lewis in Florida, asking if there will be slow beer from Mexico or the United States present at the event.
Hi, Scott. Yes, the short answer is yes. And Alfonso Rokas came up from, who is the head of Slow Food Mexico, came to visit Denver. It seems like it was just yesterday, but I think it was probably about a month or so ago. And we had some great conversations about how to incorporate slow beer from Mexico. And then I also have a call coming up to delve in a little bit more around slow beer. That will include both Lisa Frank and Kevin Scribner. So we're figuring out what that is going to look like, but the short answer is yes.
Great, thank you. This is just another quick reminder. If you are dialing into this call on your phone, please mute yourself because the organizers are unable to mute you. Thank you. Okay, so we have another question. Let's see. Charity is wondering, they have sent in a number of interested exhibitor names and contact information. Have we been able to follow up with them?
Hi, Charity and all. Yes, first, thank you. And we've actually confirmed. In fact, the olive oil folks are have registered, and I have a follow-up out to them just to talk about some of the specifics around how they might want to engage. And then I'm continuing to reach out to everyone, as I mentioned, that we have touched base with before the registration process launched, to make sure they know it's there and see if I can answer any of their questions. So keep them coming, everyone, as far as connections with potential exhibitors. Thank you.
Krista, for that, would you prefer that chapters and folks just send potential exhibitors to the website to register or to reach out to us? What is the best way for them to share that information with us?
The best way would be to start with the website, and then because I think people can get a lot of information there, or potential exhibitors can see a lot of information there. But if they do have specific questions around, whether it's a good fit or that sort of thing, they can send an email, and we'll get in touch with them.
Okay, that sounds great. And everyone, our communications director, Anna, just pasted the link to the exhibitor form in the chat function, so you should have that as well. Krista, I know you touched on this briefly, but Charity was wondering about discounts for delegates unable to pay, trying to get more people of different demographics to slow food nations. I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that or more information to come.
Yeah, there's more information to come for sure, and I think, of course, that is an important offer to be able to provide, and we are working through right now different ways that we might be able to support that, and again would also ask our network of leaders and chapters if they have creative ideas for how they might like to help make that happen as well.
Thank you. Susan Miller asked, what is recipe telling? And Andy, thank you for responding to her in the chat function. The recipe telling is like a poetry slam with recipes and tastings. And that was just an example of one way that a chapter could get involved. Scott Lewis had a question on, is there general information about hotels and lodging available now?
Hi, Scott. Thanks. That will be available when the delegate registration opens up. We will have all the links set to those at that point. But we are looking at a number of different housing options that range from boutique hotels with higher prices to summer student housing, and there's a fantastic hostel in downtown Denver called Hostel Fish, and it has also shared rooms, and I think rooms are around $50 a night, and we're working with them on what sort of packages we can create. So we're hoping to have opportunities to meet all different needs and preferences.
Great, thanks, Krista. Someone followed up on the question about scholarships. So just to let you all know, regarding discounts for delegates who have limited income. At this point, the only money we've raised to offset delegate participation is for Slow Food Turtle Island Association, which is our North American indigenous group. But as Krista said, more information to come on that. Charity had another question. Do we have any idea how many program or speaker slots will be budgeted? She is working on programming for both the food justice track and then also potential policy workshops.
Hi, that's another good question. And what we're doing right now is, in terms of, as we're refining the budget for the overall event, that is giving us a more confirmed sense of how many different speaker slots we need to fill, both for ticketed, well, not just speaker slots, but workshops and all sorts of things, both for ticketed and for non-ticketed or free talks. And we should have a better sense of that by the end of this month, so we can one of the roles of this event team is going to have to be to look at all the different ideas that are coming in through the working groups and that the network has shared, and to look at how everything can be slotted in that fills not only the available slots, but also creates an appropriate balance that that covers all the many different areas. And I see Kari's question about slow meat and how does that fit into it, and I think that follows into this. Slow meat, slow fish, slow grain, all of the different components, campaigns, communities within slow food all factor in, and we're really looking to the different working groups within our network to help us identify what the different ideas and the capacities and topics that should be included. And that's part of how we're kind of moving around this massive schedule to look at how do we create the right balance and how do we fit in everything that should be there. And again, do it well.
The next set of questions came in from Pamela and Mara and are related to the topic of alcohol at the event, and can brewers and wineries sample and sell, or is there going to be a separate location? So, for example, in New England, there are a lot of cider producers and wineries, and wondering how about permitting and how that fits into the marketplace.
Yes, it's such a great question, and I know Mara, you and I are set up to talk more about this, and Pamela, I think we just started to exchange notes, and the liquor permitting is quite complicated if we want to set that up in the marketplace. So the current plan is that will not be in the marketplace, but there will be different venues and locations to allow where that will happen. And we're working through exactly what that's going to look like, but it is an important component and will be. So I think there is just a little bit of work to do about who's coming and how do we create the opportunity for all of these different groups to share their story, to share their product, and the tradition behind it. And you know, this is equally as important in the state of Colorado, which has such a strong craft beer community. So it is definitely on the radar and will be here.
Thanks, Krista. We had a question come in from Megan Schmidt, saying that Slow Food Denver has an incredible edible school garden program, as do many across the country. Will there be any family-friendly programming plan that will engage children, families, and educators?
Hi, Megan. Thank you. Yes, there will be a demonstration garden area, and surrounding that will be programming both small workshops or hands-on experiences for families around not only gardens, but also cooking related to that. And we are going to work with our partner at the Edible Schoolyards to highlight their work and curriculum, as well as the Slow Food USA National School Garden curriculum, and in addition, I think Andy and Lauren are working on the possibility of creating meetings that will happen throughout the weekend that will be really focused on garden leaders and garden educators as part of Slow Food Nations.
Great, thanks, Krista. Could people please mute yourselves? It's really hard to hear Krista, and there are a lot of good questions. So it'd be much appreciated if you're using a telephone, a cell phone, a landline, if you could please mute yourself. Thank you. We had a question come in from Loretta Sepinen. What are the food safety requirements if we bring food for tasting? What is the cost per day? Will there be a kitchen for prep? Water requirements? Is it all on our own, or will there be an event agreement with the relevant health department?
Hi, Loretta. So if you're talking specifically about the flavor bazaar or the marketplace, there will be specific requirements. And what will happen is that when people register to be an exhibitor, they will have a direct point of contact with the person who will be coordinating all of the exhibitor logistics. That person will reach out to each exhibitor individually to understand their specific scenario, what they're bringing, and relay all of the appropriate information. That person will also work to get all the information from the different exhibitors that is required by the local health department and submit it all at once. So it will be done for the collective group. And I think I'm looking at, I think that will, I think I'm looking at there. I think that answered all of them. So every exhibitor will be contacted about those specifics.
Thanks, Krista. Laura Luciano on Long Island had a question about clarifying the delegate process. So she compared it to, for Terra Madre, each chapter is able to nominate 2 delegates, and there were some guidelines around that, where the delegate is someone who represents the chapter. They can be either a producer or a chapter member. So if a producer is participating in the Flavor Bazaar and the exhibitor gets 1 delegate pass, who can be a delegate? I guess just some clarification around that.
So we are organizing it. Oh, and thank you, Laura, for that question, because I think because everyone, all of us, or many of us have specific experience with the delegate process related to Terra Madre, this will seem a little bit different. And the idea with this is that chapters do not have a certain amount of delegates they can nominate. The hope is that this won't be as much of a process as it is a registration process. The explanation that will be provided on the website and also through the registration form will hopefully give people a great sense of what being a delegate or participating as a delegate means, and they can self-select based upon if they want to be a delegate or if they would like to register based upon their desired level of connection with Slow Food and Slow Food Nations and their historic involvement with the organization. And as far as the opportunity for exhibitors who register before the end of March to receive 1 complimentary delegate ticket, those exhibitors can, clearly they can opt if they want, who in their organization wants to take that ticket, for example. So there'll be the opportunity for them to name who in their organization will receive that delegate ticket, and then of course if they would want to purchase others, they can.
Okay,
Hope that was helpful.
Thanks, Krista. Okay, I'm trying to get back up to the questions here. Charity is wondering who is leading the Slow Meat working group for Nations.
Well, there is an initial call that's happening next week that includes Marilyn Noble, who's with the American Grass-Fed Association, as many of you know, also a slow food governor. Greg Gunthorpe, who is a rancher and producer who was involved with slow meat in the past. And Rebecca Thistlewaite will also be on that call, along with one of her other colleagues. And I know that Kari and Richard are connecting, and so that group is kind of forming and happening at the moment.
Great, thanks, Krista. Let's see, the next question we have, wondering more about day passes. Are people able to pay for attending the delegate events on Friday, or do they have to be a delegate for the whole weekend? How does the day pass work?
There's not really a day pass. You can register to be a delegate, and that gets you access to the delegate meeting on Friday, as well as some of the other benefits that I mentioned before. And then if people who want to attend in a different way, it will just be the ability to purchase tickets and then attend any of the free portions of the event as they wish.
Okay, thanks, Krista. Yeah, Loretta, feel free. I hope that answered your question. Let us know if you have a follow-up question. Jennifer Breckner and Scott Lewis are both interested in getting involved with slow beer and wondering if someone is leading that effort in the U.S. and who they should get in touch with. Lisa Frank answered that question, actually. In California, we have started slow beer, just getting back involved this week. So I think that please reach out to Lisa Frank, who is the new slow food state governor for Central Valley of California. And then Scott is requesting Lisa to please send some info out about this. So I think maybe the best place to share that would be on the Slow Food USA chapter and community leader Facebook group. And then people can reach out to Lisa if they want to be involved with the slow beer effort. Great. Let's see, Charity. Is there a Slow Food National Congress still planned in connection with this gathering?
The short answer is yes. I think, Charity, for what you're asking, but it's maybe a little bit. I'll just explain exactly what's happening, and then hopefully that answers it the best way. So one of the things that will happen is for Slow Food USA, we will be reviewing in advance and then passing the national statute as part of this gathering. And then, of course, in conjunction with that, there will be the Delegate Day, which is, well, it combines more than Slow Food USA members. There will be the opportunity to have a national gathering, and then also workshops and speaker discussions for the broader group of delegates. If that didn't answer your question, just type something else in and I'll try to answer it better.
Okay, thanks, Krista. If folks have other questions they would like to ask, I think we're all caught up now based on what came in through the chat function. We can give it, another minute or so if people have additional questions they would like to ask.
Well, and I'll just say I'm really exciting. Well, so hold on before I say that. I think Charity has a question about the new statute, Lauren,
yes.
the national statute and the process.
Yes, thanks, Charity, for following up on that. So the process has not been completely solidified for it, but as some of you may know, this was an ongoing project that my predecessor, Megan Larmer, was working on while she was still with Slow Food USA. Working with several governors and other leaders and staff members to put together a revised version. So over the next few months, we will be sharing the revised version of the statute with the network, and we'll have an open comment period. This will likely take place sometime in May. and then people can feel free to share any thoughts, comments they have on the statute at that point. As far as how this is going to fit in with the event at Nations, we're still determining that, but certainly more information to come regarding the national statute. Charity, I hope that answers your question for the time being.
And someone asked, can we share the deck? And I just shared a message, but the call, as Lauren mentioned, is being recorded, and we'd be happy to share the deck with everyone. I know a couple of people have said they have their local annual planning meetings with their chapters, their regions coming up, and please feel free to use this to share information with your local communities, and share with anyone who you're talking to about Slow Food Nations and their involvement. This is your resource, so please use it.
Great, thanks, Krista. There appear to be no more questions at the moment.
Well, I'm really excited that all of you were able to join today, and again, thank you for continuing to share all of your ideas, offering your support, because this event is really about all of us and the network, and we will all make it successful. And I think it will be a great opportunity to share slow food with a much broader audience, and allow people to get a really tangible experience of what slow food is, and help them decide how they might want to be connected with it or what it means to them. So thank you. And I do see one quick question come in at the end. Laura, can a chapter get more than one exhibitor? So there's not an individual limit, but there is an overall limit of 100 spaces. And what we are doing with the exhibitor application process is reviewing that. Again, the application itself asks some questions, so people will consider what their connection is to slow food values, and we want to learn more about their products and how they're produced, and if they're Arc of Taste products. Again, so we can make sure we're looking at this so we have a balance within the flavor bazaar and the marketplace. And so the overall limit is 100 at capacity, and then also we're monitoring it to make sure there's a good balance. But yes, it's possible to have more than one exhibitor space. The deadline someone asked, what is the deadline for the exhibitor application? So early registration deadline is March 31st. And so prior to that date, it's $895 to be an exhibitor, and that includes one delegate ticket for the event. After that date, the cost goes up to $995 to be an exhibitor, and it's a $100 delegate ticket after that.
Great. Thanks, Krista.
Thanks again, everyone.
Okay, thanks everyone for taking the time. I'll put up the recording in the next day or two, as well as the PowerPoint slide, and then feel free to use and share. And we hope to have you join us on future calls about Slow Food Nations, and stay tuned for more information. Thanks so much, Krista.
Bye, everyone. Talk soon.